Okay, calling to order the Committee on Committees meeting for August 18th, 2025. It is a little after 3. Before the meeting starts, I will read the following. This meeting is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on the Town of Barnstable Governance Access Channel. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Seeing none, this meeting will be replayed via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channels 1072. May also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live video on demand archives on the Town of Barnstable's website. Okay, we have a roll call.
Certainly. Councilors Lutke.
Here.
Turkelson.
Here.
Clark. Burdick. Sheriff Committee, Councilor John Crow.
Here.
You have quorum.
Okay, we'll start with public comment. Now's your time. Larry, if you want. Okay. Larry, how are you?
Good to see you. Can I sit here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just as long as 3 minutes.
I'm going to hand this out to you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
I'll give you one. Show me that. Okay. This focus is simply on the Human Services Committee, and I've been involved with that quite actively for quite a while. I talked to John and talked about trying to reduce it to a bullet thing, which is not my customary way of doing things. But this gives you something to focus on the particular issues. For those of you that want more detail, I had other things I had prepared that were quite detailed, but maybe more detail than people want, but it's the background by which I arrived at certain information. So I don't see a need, John, to read this unless you want me to.
No?
Well, for the benefit of the public,
I'll
this
do
is a
whatever you
public
want.
comment, so
Want
we
me
can,
just to go through
So why
it?
don't you go through it?
I think you should.
Yeah, fine.
This is a public meeting.
I know. Okay.
Okay.
Larry, do you have a copy for me?
Yeah, I do.
Sorry. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll get it. That's okay.
I should have made a paper airplane out of it. Okay.
Please go ahead, Larry.
Okay. I broke it down into 4 numbered paragraphs. I don't know the significance of that, but I tried to do it to make it flow. May of 2022 is the time when there was a change of who the chair was in this committee. And of course, that was right smack dab in the middle of COVID. In the process of doing that, however, that seems to be a relevant measuring stick as to what's happened since then. So the question is, what has been done to accomplish things? I have taken 2 parts. One, I've taken the title for this particular subcommittee, what are the elements of that? And I've listed that in the 2nd paragraph dealing with the purpose of each committee. It's composition. Composition is something that is supposed to be in the administrative code. It is very sparingly, but it's something that's relevant. Functionality is a term unique to this committee, and so is effectiveness. With respect to the bottom 2 paragraphs seem to focus or intended to focus on things, primarily what has Human Services accomplished, if anything, and then the other thing is, have they been effective? The points that I'm trying to focus on are intended to be objective, intended to be based upon general facts that are available rather than anything else. However, we're looking at some open meeting law issues that are pretty well known at this point, dealing with each feature of meetings, namely the agendas, the videos, and the minutes to be done in that sequence, and the manner things have been either omitted or misinterpreted or mishandled. The ad hoc committee goes into breaking down what I consider to be matters which you may already be doing by taking the facts of each each particular committee and applying it to the things that are captioned in your committee. The accomplishments are clearly a concern. Basically, it seems to be really one thing, that being the so-called report that was supposed to come to town council that has been lingering now for 3.5 years and it hasn't gone anywhere. It sort of hit a mark back in March or April of this year, where apparently there was going to be some promotions within the committee to activate it, but it never happened. The other matter dealing with effectiveness, however, is really, I don't know whether it's subjective or objective. I think, however, there have been enough issues going on within the committee that I think that is something that you are already well informed about. I don't know that I need to say more than I'm not reading from this verbatim now.
I'll make it one.
Yeah.
So you say you've been following this since May of 2022. Are you following it prior? What led you to follow this?
No, I started following this in 23.
What brought you to follow?
Because I had heard some questions about what it did and what it was not, what it wasn't doing right, just things that that interested me. In some cases, the homelessness issue, what's the thing with drugs? Anyway, those things
The
interested me.
opioid settlement?
Huh?
What about, you said something about drugs?
Yeah, opioid, yeah. And I was interested in what they were doing with those subjects, primarily because I've known some people that have been in those situations. So I started attending that, and probably 2 or 3 of them without much reaction by my part. And then I became more involved with it in July of last year, which was 2024. And at that time, I knew of new people that were coming on. Some of them had come through the appointments process. That's where they had to go. And then I thought, well, there are going to be some changes in personnel. Maybe that was going to be good. I wanted to see if they were communicating differently. And I found out that there were a lot of changes that weren't happening. So that piqued my concern. And I thought that maybe we needed to look at it more closely. So that's a good answer for you.
Any other questions for Larry? Okay, Larry, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll sit here. I want to see what Jake has to say.
Please go back to it.
I will. Of course I will.
Yeah. Now we're going to go on to the continued discussion on the purpose and functionality of town boards and committees and commissions. And today we have the Zoning Appeals Chair, Jake Dewey. So Jake, come and join us.
Yes, sure.
Good to see you.
Nice, thank you.
I also want to let the audience know that Councilor Clark has joined the meeting.
Apologize for being late. Thank you for all your service.
So anything specific or?
Well, why don't you describe what you're doing now and how you feel about your committee as far as its function and effectiveness?
I mean, we're an appeals board, so we're not a regulatory board per se. You know, we're not making policy, and I think that sort of gets caught up in lost in translation, that we're not making policy. We are not we're not making decisions really discretionary in a discretionary manner kind of too. It's, you know, Chapter 48 really identifies what we have for power, and that we're within that circle. We can't really go outside of that. But it's a lot of, you know, I remember when I first got on the board, we didn't have the Laserfiche thing, and the notebook was like that big that was given to all of us as board members to sort of know our code. And I talked to Councilor Turkelson this morning a little bit. One of those things, you know, as we make some of these zoning updates, we just had Wilkins in front of us, the Wilkins Hanover 2 project. You know, that was pitched to us. However, we were never involved in creating that zoning. You know, that never came, we were not brought to the table to discuss how that was written, why it was written the way it was. I went back and watched the planning board meetings and the council meetings for the discussion to try to sort of understand the purpose and intent of that zoning, because that's one of 40A's for that permit was, you know, does it fall within the purpose and intent? And we weren't at the table, so it's really hard to speak for everyone else on that. So I think in the future, it would be really helpful if someone from the board, from the zoning board, is somehow involved, whether they're asked to attend or if there's a joint meeting of the zoning board and the planning board when we have sort of large zoning amendments come forward, to have that discussion. I mean, the planning board and the council ultimately is who votes on it, but at least to have a seat at the table, I think would be valuable for everyone. I don't know if it changes if there's like rules that may say we can or can't do that, but I think that could be helpful as we sort of struggle with some of those different things where we're trying to interpret what, a higher elected official has, what their intent of that was. And not just Wilkins, there's other little things that have come before us. We just had the first project in the downtown zoning came to us that we've ever had come through. And again, I was involved when that was happening, so I didn't feel that it was a situation where we should be, it was a variance, granting a variance from how you all had written that downtown zoning.
The form-based zoning.
Yeah, exactly,
package.
yeah. And so,
Which one was that, Jay?
it's Starbuck Construction, sort of on the corner of Dynaflow and, what is that road?
Barnstable.
It's
It's-
very center, right?
Yeah, it's sort of near Ying's, it sort of follows that.
That center.
Yeah, Center
Center
Street,
Street, part of
exactly,
it,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sort of like across from the Land Rover dealership there. They were trying to sort of shoehorn in some units in there, which I appreciate the scale and size. But again, you guys spent a lot of time, the town spent a lot of time creating that zoning, so I felt like, to vary from that I didn't feel
Right.
comfortable at that
Yeah.
point. And that's one thing with the committee is, just educating our board members it takes a long time to get people up to speed. And I told Councilor Turkos this morning, I was, when I first got on the board, I was trying to be on the Waterways Committee and Cynthia said, hey, we need someone on the zoning board, we don't need anyone on Waterways, and so I was like, oh geez, okay. And I went in there having very little knowledge of what I was doing, and Brian Florence was our chair at that point before he was building commissioner here, he's still in Dennis, and multiple times he would say, Jake, you're out of line here, that's not in our sort of purview, that's not you, it's not, it's not discretion. You can't sort of say, I just like this project, so I want to help it move forward kind of thing, or I just don't like it. You really have to fall back on chapter 48 of how we're moving it forward or why we're not moving it forward.
Well, here, I like to go over that.
Just let the audience know that Counselor Seth Burdick has joined us.
So, and that's just, it always takes board members time to get there, and we have done a little bit of training stuff. CT, I can't remember what the acronym for the sort of planning organization that we did have come in and do a seminar with some of the board members that attended. And that's where I felt like I've learned, I've attended them online. We get offered them somehow through the planning department, we're offered them for no charge to us. And so that's where I've learned some of the things, and I've encouraged board members to do them, and I don't know they all take it quite as seriously to do them, some of them have more than others. But again, it's just, there's a lot for the zoning board that we're sort of forced to chew on all the time, and
I
it
find
takes
it
a lot of time.
interesting what you just said, that the training is discretionary to a point.
Yeah.
That troubles me.
Well, they're
I think-
volunteers.
No, they're volunteers, but yet they have to, like Jake said, they have to stay within the purview of 40A. Regardless if they're volunteers, they should know going forward that there's training associated. I mean, we just had some commentary here on the human services with perhaps some training as an issue. I know Chairman Crowe has brought up training as an issue. And especially with this, I mean, I don't think it should be discretionary. Yeah, you can volunteer, but know going in that you're gonna have to take some training to be
Yeah.
proficient.
And I think that's why often historically, we've had a lot of attorneys
You
or
always-
people that have
yes.
had, because they have, through their education of their professional background, already have that in their sort of wheelhouse. Right now, I think Manny is an attorney, a retired attorney, so he's probably the most proficient of all
Well,
of
you
us.
also have folks in the planning staff guiding you, don't you, to provide you language? You
For sure,
often
yes.
have an attorney present.
If it gets to that level, we've had like when Kate was still here,
Yeah.
we had her present here and there when there was issues that sort of seemed necessary. And then we have Anna and Jenna as our administrators, that are always at our meetings,
But
and
when
they
you
do
read your
prepare.
findings, I
They've
find,
prepared that in advance.
that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
somebody is reading something, they're
Yep.
not saying, okay,
Yes,
based on it's all
Yep.
prepared.
yes.
And do you deviate from that?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, that's a staff sort of recommendation. But that does sort of give us the bullet points that we need to look at and make sure we feel, it sort of pulls the code out for us to say, okay, we need to check all these boxes. Do we check them, for
Now,
the
let me
specific
ask
project?
you on the, I don't know, we had.
I think I'm just, in this meeting, instead of asking each one to ask questions, this is a dynamic type of board we're talking about here. I think anybody who has a question can just join in.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Well, I wondered, because you seem to be talking about how you're reading a thing. Now, a couple of us were at the Wilkins one.
Yeah.
Now, there's some very new things that happened there. And I was a little surprised. Mark Hansen brought up what you're talking about, that he wanted to perhaps continue it because he wanted to understand, the intent of the zoning. He also wanted to understand, because you were dealt with something that never has been seen before. And you, as a zoning board, had to say yay or nay. That's that 244,000 sewer
Mhm.
payment. How would you know? You wouldn't possibly have,
No, and
have
that's,
the competence to know that.
and that was like, the amount of involvement that CFAC
Yes.
brought was amazing. And
Amazing, right?
Like, I literally thought we were just gonna get like a letter back from them, like, we accept
No, it
their,
was incredible what
their report,
they brought
yes.
forward, all
And by the
sorts
way,
of
I
that
think
was
things.
thanks to-
2 or 3 meetings.
Thanks to Betty, because she's the one who suggested that it take this detour and have CFAC evaluate that on our behalf, or
Yeah.
for your behalf.
Yeah,
But Mark had asked before the vote was taken, could we please have this 244,000 evaluated?
yeah.
And I thought that was a
We wanted
very,
it verified.
he wanted it
Yeah.
verified, it's
And-
never been seen.
And Chris, on CFAC did offer, I think, I got the sense that it wasn't sort of in what we had asked initially, but he was happy if we wanted to push it back to him to do that they would analyze it further.
So I found that a little bit troubling, and you refer to the staff, did the staff evaluate that?
I
I
we
don't
had
think
a
so.
approval from DPW for the project, that was sort of like from
Yeah,
the engineering department, that they felt everything was sufficient, which they had hired, or had a consultant had been involved to look at more of the pump stations and the lines of the plant, but no one had looked at the plant capacity, is how I understood.
right.
And then it was sort of that system development charge, how should that be considered?
But I felt it was unfair to leave you guys hanging out there,
Yeah.
being the people to vote. You had two things. You had that, and you had something very new, which the Affordable Housing Trust is now gonna have to act on. You basically, for the town, said, yes, we'll take this, yes, we'll take this, without any consultation,
Yes.
which kind of leaves us out there. I mean, to me, it's quite something. It goes back to what we've been talking about, is that we really need to elevate and communicate. And in fact, I was very impressed that Mark Hansen said, I'd like CFAC to look at this. And frankly, the head of CFAC was there for the entire meeting, which I was impressed with. Why don't we do more of that?
Yeah.
But
And I had said too, like, and I just told Councilor Turkison this morning, I watched it happen in Sandwich. Their zoning board often will ask for comments from other boards.
Yes.
So they'll send a request to the planning board to just give feedback over a project, because again, they created the zoning, and they're asking the selectmen or whoever, like we could have asked council to say, hey, can we just get comment on this? So it's just on your agenda, and the response might be no comment, or the response might be further beyond that. So I think
is
something
that
like that.
something you'd like to see
Yeah, I
more
think so,
of?
yeah.
I think so,
I mean,
because
in a zoning situation like this, I would hope maybe it's written into the bylaw next time that says, comment must come, or it needs to go to the housing committee. It should have gone to the housing committee
Should have.
probably. I would have liked to have seen it go to the trust for at least it's gonna just sort of land on their lap
it's gonna land on
unexpectedly.
their lap, and it was very uncomfortable to have the only person talking to the trust, and the only person you talked to was the administrator, is their attorney.
Yeah.
That was like red flag, red flag, red flag. I mean, why are we relying on their attorney to do the town's business? That was frightening. Really, it was.
So I hope something good will come out of it. I think there is an opportunity here, and I hope that the public stays involved in that too. Like when it goes to the trust, is that do we want to spend money on these units or not? And how much we're willing to spend.
Yeah, and I'm the liaison to this, so I've watched probably more meetings than you guys have, and I know Jake deals with antiquated zoning quite a bit.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of
That
work to do
really
and so
encumbers your ability to make decisions on things.
Yeah. And with Wilkins, I wish that had been reevaluated before we
It
got to
should
this
have been.
point, because I don't think there was any intent in phase two. I don't think it was ever sort of, back in 21, when you guys were discussing it, I don't think it was sort of like considered as a reality at that point. So, but,
Right.
you know, it was.
I think that we're, through this committee, we're realizing the value of sending an issue to another committee for a little more work and hope to utilize that process more often. Some of us are new, we might very well have new members in November, so it's likely to change. But if we can address the process so that there can be a little more a comprehensive evaluation and utilize it. Waterways, when waterways is it's their specialty, or CFAC when it's their specialty. And you were missed at that hearing because we realize your capacity to make a judgment. And I've echoed along with others that you're a good chair in that you have reminded your fellow members to stay within the confines of your charge, as apparently your predecessor had done. So I value that. And I'm suggesting that when these opportunities for learning about zoning are presented to your committee, it might not be a bad idea to kick it to the council members as well, if there's an opportunity for us to learn. I sat in on one meeting, one of those instructional visitors one time, and I found that interesting. It's a area that we deal with that I realized I could benefit with a little more current training.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For me, I think, and I know we've had a discussion in the past, that from the work you've done, you've made some observations on suggestions for the council to make that could make things run better at the ZBA. So perhaps it might be worthwhile for you to make some time at a meeting and canvass your fellow members and collect a list, like swimming pools, fence setbacks and stuff like that you have mentioned, that you can say, look, we keep having to we have petitions for variances that keep getting presented to us, and from our experience, we would recommend a zoning change that would look like X. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
If you made a package like that, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think we actually have the power, if we wanted to create a recommendation, a full recommendation of a zoning change, I believe, through a conversation with Jim. Like if we wanted to write this sort of swimming pool
Right.
code change, we could put it really together with a nice bow on it and send it your way, I believe, or send to planning board first, I think, and then to you.
That would be nice.
Yes,
I mean,
'cause-
why don't we start with the expertise, really? Because we've had this situation, you mentioned Brian Florence. We have things in our code that are unenforceable.
Yeah.
Because we said, gosh darn it, we're gonna do it this way. Well, it's unenforceable, so what's the point of that? I mean, we ought to be using our committee, that's what I found in this, is really, we need to empower these committees, make them professional. If it requires training, then it requires training, and rely on you guys, because we don't have any committees like we are a city form of government. We don't have any of these standing committees. We have the volunteer committees from our citizens, and if that's what we have, and this committee is gonna recommend we stay with that method, then we've got to somehow raise these up. I mean, we had a comment earlier about one of our committees. Either we raise them up or we eliminate them, because we can't have advice or decisions from these committees that isn't professional and on point.
Well, and that was what was great about CFAC, because we're obviously not a financial,
Exactly.
right? So we can pitch it that way to get that information, and, you know, I was sort of wanting to pitch it to like the housing committee or something, because they should be the experts there, you know, where are all the little places we should go to pull all the information together.
But you haven't done that,
We haven't really done it historically,
because this was a huge project.
This was a really big
And we
project,
should have
yeah.
done it, we
Yeah.
should have done it.
because we can sort of ask for that expertise, but then that then relies back on appointments to create committees that have experts on them that can give us that information, right? That there's a, you know, the right makeup on each of those committees. Like CFAC seems very like on,
Very good,
you
yeah.
know, I don't know what the housing committee would have come back with other than we need more housing. Like, I respect them, but I don't know that they're really able to do a solid housing analysis, and it would be great if that committee was doing that, and if the water board or, you know, Barnstable Water or whatever was giving us those like strong numbers, because there's a engineer on that committee or something that can sort of have that background.
Right, and I think that's up to us to make that happen, through appointments, through the council.
Well, I mean, it's not just about us making it happen. I mean, as I said to Jake when we talked today, I mean, we have 40 boards, committees, and commissions. They're all volunteer. So, you know, if there's an opening on a board and nobody shows up, I mean, we're not like pulling somebody out of thin air. I mean, it's part of what Councilor Burdick has been saying, like, you know, sometimes there's just not enough bodies in the seats, and so, I mean, yeah, would we like to like hit somebody over the head and drag them in because they're a really good candidate? You have to have some people that are willing
Yeah.
to spend the amount of time. I mean, it's a lot of work, and depending on where your passion is or where you want to get slotted into, it's a lot of work. How many hours do you think would be like a ballpark number of hours that somebody on the ZBA would need to do like learning and continuing ed outside of like your
I mean, it sort of, I guess, depends on their background a little bit, but those seminars, I think, are like 2 hours long, and they offer them at sort of quarterly, I think. But you don't need to keep doing them constantly. It's sort of, they're usually sort of background in the chapter and sort of the powers of the board and stuff. I mean, the last two meetings have gone for both the Hanover ones were 4 hours long. So
You must make site visits.
And then, yep, sometimes you make a site visit if it's something that makes sense to drive by, and then, you know, it's reading through, and the staff will make the staff report, and that'll help identify the codes that are relevant, and then you can pull the town code and read them and make sure that they apply. So, you know, there's probably a good hour per item if it's not something that's just sort of straightforward, that it's like a pre-existing, you know, lot size thing, tear down, rebuild kind of thing, where that's usually public comment's super important. So if you have neighbors that are upset about it, then you try to drive by or look and see like, okay, is this relevant? If the neighbors are all happy about it, it's like, okay, well, this is, you know, again, what the intent of the bylaw was so that things like this could happen in these smaller lots in West Hyannisport, some of those little places that, you know, that it was written very specifically.
And how many people is the board total?
We are 5 full members, and then we have 3 alternates, I think.
And per case, how does it get decided who gets assigned to what cases?
So the regular members always are first, if they're all present. And then if someone's missing or someone needs to recuse themselves, I usually just go to the next one, you know, first one and then next one on the list, and just rotate.
So with Mark Hansen leaving, if that had gotten continued, you would have gone down the list to the next.
So it would have been who was present for all of the meetings, ideally. So if everyone was present, then yeah, it would just be the next person on the list.
And would it be appropriate to rotate through that list like we do for voting, as far as like, you know, if the president wasn't there, it will go to precinct 1, and then the next time the president wasn't there, it will go to precinct 2, and so that it's kind of not always the first person on the list.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I don't know because everyone's on different terms, but I potentially could be identified by terms, because everyone's terms renew at different years or whatever. But we don't have currently like labels that someone's in zoning board, seat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever. But I mean, if there was a direction for that, that would be easy to follow.
I'm just.
I don't
I
pick,
just
I
was
don't pick
curious
people
how-
specific to a project that they like maybe are more relevant to it or not,
Yeah.
or where they live in town, like, there's no sort of,
Yeah, no, I was just wondering how that got all figured out, cause I hadn't really been tracking that,
yeah.
so.
And as the chair, do you recruit people? Do you come across people in your day-to-day business and say, hey, you might be good for this committee? Is that ever?
I haven't really, I mean, I've mentioned it to people before, but we haven't had a lot of openings either. Very quickly, most of our openings have been, you guys have had people in the pipeline pretty quickly. So we haven't had
Is
sort of
that
a shortage.
true for Mark? Do we have?
I didn't know that Mark was leaving until
Yeah,
last
that-
week.
that was at the
That
meeting.
That's.
I knew he was considering it, cause
Yeah,
he's
that
got, his
was-
family's moving to Sandwich, I believe, so.
Yeah, I haven't received a resignation, which is why you haven't heard about it on appointments, because I haven't received anything.
So no,
I
we
read about
don't.
it today somewhere.
What'd you say?
Did you send an email about it? Somebody sent an email about it.
Well, I had said
Oh,
that,
on the appointments.
yeah, when I gave the thing, but it was only because I had watched the ZBA meeting the other night.
And I think the idea with that spot, that was a regular member seat. One of the associates should move to the regular seat, and then we replace the associates, which takes a bit of time to do, because then he has to go to appointments and then 2 reads at council to get done, so it's
Who decides that? Who decides who moves up to regular?
appointments.
So you look at his 3.
So the chair would,
I can make a
the chair
recommendation.
would email Cynthia and say, I would recommend that so-and-so be moved up to a full position. And then the appointments committee would take a vote, and then it goes to town council. But, I mean, that's easy.
Yeah. Well, there are 5 people for the planning board right now, right? That are applying for those 3 spots, so.
Yeah, so they could be
shift
good
it over
candidates
there. There's
to,
also 4 people.
May not be on the
Yeah.
phone, it is on the webpage.
Well, I just
You can go on
appreciate the
computer.
comments about just that sense, like, I have said since I've come to town council that it's such a siloed, this government is so siloed, it's like, nobody's really talking,
Right.
and I feel like what you've talked about is like this need to kind of be thinking outside of the box and comprehensively, who else has the knowledge? Because you're making big decisions, you're recommending things, you're saying yes and no, and, you know, it's like the tentacles of that project were years back,
Yeah.
going years forward with many different people who are no longer here. So you're kind of trying to like pick up the pieces, and then it might be different if you had come to the town council, it might have been a different response as to now compared to then. So, I mean, I wouldn't want that job, so thank you for all that you guys do. And it highlights the need for more intercommunication, I think, so.
Well, I'm hoping that's something we can come forward with. I mean, I think we're learning a lot and talking to folks and seeing this in action, you know?
And I think early rather than late, like,
Yes.
you know, like your comment about the ADUs, you're like, if you're gonna do 2 ADUs on a lot, please, like,
Don't do it
you
this
know,
way.
like, have some guidance and
Yeah.
some input and
yeah, I mean,
you know,
ADUs are still sort of a
yeah,
very discretionary sort of thing for us.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, so,
what do we want, and how do, you know, we wanna get, like you said, get the town comment and way in advance, so the bylaw's written to incorporate what the town's
well, and the
needs are.
unintended consequences, like, if we don't do it right, then they're coming back to you anyway, or, I mean, it's like, it's just inefficient. It's like, what's the efficiency that we need to think like 5 steps down the road, because that's the eventual end game, is it has to go through all of these people
Yes.
to get somewhere, unless we do it right, and then maybe we don't need to go through those people, because
And that's the ideal, it's that we're not
Yeah.
getting like, you know, coming in for these tiny little things all the time.
Yeah.
The applicant doesn't wanna do that, it's discouraging people from building them when it's like, oh, you know.
well, we have people that are converting larger properties to ADUs, so then, you know, so it gets kind of.
That ADUs is a great example. You know, that was quite a discussion, a complicated discussion. Jake came there, I don't know what hat he was wearing. He really wasn't wearing his zoning hat. But that would have been very smart of the council to pitch that to the zoning, who are gonna be the ultimate people, being the arbiters of any issues, and say, zoning, could you give us some insight into, you know?
Or tell us that we should have a joint meeting with the planning board.
Exactly,
Before the
yeah.
recommendation from planning board comes back to you, and we
Right.
could have had our board and their board together to say, you know, how do we, you know, shape the special permit portion of this, and then we pitch it to you guys again, sort of buttoned up,
Yeah.
here it
Yeah,
is.
we need to have the ZBA much more at the front of things, that they're left at the very end to clean everybody else's
Mess
kind of
up.
problems up.
Well, he
Yeah.
said right off the bat, he's a board of appeals, not necessarily a regulatory board. And that makes me think that perhaps it might prevent you from doing too much collaboration because you're gonna be a judge after the fact, you know, so I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but he has to interpret the code and we're the ones
Developing it.
developing the
I
code. So if
understand.
they know that there's already gonna be a red flag with that code, why would we wanna even give them like more complications?
Yeah.
I get it.
Because it always says, is it fall within the spirit and intent of the zoning bylaw?
Yeah.
And usually you all have made that zoning bylaw, and so we have to sort of interpret if what this project that wants to come forward falls within that.
I think there is an appetite for doing a big comprehensive rewrite of zoning for the town because it's been patched up so many times.
Well, that's gonna be part of our code review process, right? Because of the strategic approach that we're gonna take to the code review is that, at least this is what we were talking about,
Right.
that, so there's gonna be the two aspects of it. There's gonna be the technical aspect of it, which is gonna be we're submitting the code to the company who we hired in order to do the technical bits of it, meaning the way it's structured and the language and whatever. But the philosophical aspect of the code, all of the departments and all, I get planning and development obviously being one of them, are gonna be asked to review the part of the code that pertains to their operations and how it is inadequate or antiquated or whatever prior to when we get together to do the actual hashing out of how it's gonna be modified. So that'll be a good opportunity, hopefully coming up sooner than later,
That's the heftiest part of our
Right.
code, I think.
that it'll
is
go
the
back
zoning.
to the planning board, who would then, through you guys and through Jim and then the zoning and everybody, to identify how the code is failing you currently and how the modifications that need to be made in order to make the code an effective tool and not, an obstacle.
And I agree with what you're saying, but on the same hand, we shouldn't make it a goal to keep the ZBA around. Like, the goal should be to not need an appeal, like,
Yeah.
it's so clean and so well done.
Yeah, if we were
That
really
they
guiding our
actually have to
town, we
work
could have
less.
one meeting a month and an
Yeah,
ideal.
so, I mean, we have to think, like, how
Good
could
point.
we,
Yeah.
it's like, kinda like, I was listening to the woman who does it, the Family Table Collaborative, and she was like celebrating her 5-year anniversary, she goes, no, we wanna celebrate us going out of business, that means there's not people who need food.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, like, we should be trying to make it so clean that there's very little hashing and rehashing, and it's like, we get less cases because it's so clean and pristine, and it's well done so that we can avoid it.
It's not subject to interpretation
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
or
'cause-
minimizing.
Yeah.
Or it's like things that the town really doesn't want, it's known that we don't
If we don't
want
want
whatever
that,
it is.
don't
If
do
it's
it.
fast food restaurants on West Main or
Yeah.
whatever, that it's, very,
Yeah, no, that was another one that you guys just threw right in the grinder on that one. I mean,
yeah.
again, last line of defense for something that just, the people, I mean, there wasn't a single person, I think, that spoke in support of that, not a single resident, yet it's in our zoning, how does that happen?
The zoning is wrong.
The
The
drive-through on West Main
Wendy's, the
Street.
Wendy's
Oh,
on
yeah,
West
oh,
Main, the drive-through,
But it could have gone
School.
another way though,
huh?
but it was because of the one technicality that it really went sideways, right? I mean, we don't have to talk
I
about
can't, I don't think I can speak to it, I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
an attorney, but, the town ended up in court over it, and our
Yeah.
decision was overturned
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah,
But there was some nuance to the whole thing.
Well, I mean,
Is
it
that
was a
some-
drive-through, I guess they had a leg to stand on that point.
but that's our zoning, that's what
Yeah.
he's saying,
Yeah,
we
the
did
zoning
something
allows
that-
a drive-through
wants.
restaurant by special permit on West Main Street, and so that's what they were coming forward with.
So is this a tall task, is to ask you guys to, your committee to develop a few bullets on recommendations from the work you do that, according to Councilor Turkelson, that you'd rather not see anymore because it's resolved by a zoning change? A change?
I mean, Councilor Leckie and I talked about the pool thing,
Yeah.
it's sort of like, how do we wanna handle pools going forward, cause they come to us a lot.
What's the pool thing?
Like,
I mean, I see them
Basically,
on there,
should
but I
you-
don't.
Setback.
basically, should you be allowed to have a pool in a very small lot, in a
Yeah.
small backyard, up to the property line, or like, people are coming in to try to basically fit pools. Cape Cod has changed, and people wanna be in pools instead of in the ocean now, I guess. And so
Cyanobacteria.
people are squeezing pools in all these little places, and they come to us before,
They're too close to the property's
And most
edge.
times, what ends up happening?
It's sad when you see these people do all this work and
we
then
push back
they did
and sort of
deny.
say, I mean, sometimes the pushback is like, hey, this is like above our pay grade, this is like a council thing, we can't turn this over, we just can't. Cause essentially when we give a variance, we're rewriting the zoning for
Right.
that lot, right? You're like, allowing them to have a 2-foot setback or whatever. And so I'm always pushing, like, we need to get this in front of council so the whole town can weigh in and say, yes, we want to allow pools in postage stamp lots in Osterville or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Or no, we don't, and then we close the door and we say, no, the town doesn't allow that, you have to have sufficient space to have a pool.
And then if we reaffirmed or changed the zoning, you know, the bylaws, then that would eliminate those people coming forward.
Exactly, people wouldn't try to
They're
build a pool
they're
there.
very sad here, I mean, people really want these pools,
They
and
really
they
want the
put a
pool.
lot of work into it, they've paid a lot of engineering work.
Yeah.
It's really quite something to watch these hearings.
I'm surprised that if somebody wants a pool, they don't just make it 2 feet shorter to fit and not have to.
Come and
I'm
listen,
ju-
Chris, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, I have, I realize. But I'm just saying that, I guess if we reaffirm it, then they'll feel more confident about saying no, the regulations say
Yes.
no.
Right, that's the spirit of an intent piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and sign code, I think we, at some point, it's just like a really boring one for
Oh, but God, I remember
but our
watching the
sign
sign
code is
code,
just
yes.
like, it's just very, it's probably that layer on layer sort of thing that
Oh.
created what it is.
I wish we had more exciting signs.
That was a
in this
torturous
town.
thing on Route 132, this application of the sign, oh.
Yeah, that and the Jeep dealership.
We're oversigned
Oh my
here.
God.
We had a whole thing about that. It was sort of like, again, we're looking at, I think the purpose and intent of that originally was to make sure we didn't look like Vegas with like
Yeah.
strips on the lights, but we're just like going by what is written there, and like it's fluorescent lights are kind of now LED lights, even though we haven't really addressed,
Right.
you know, we haven't updated to the new technology, you know, it's how do you know, again, super boring one and doesn't really like, but it's something that needs, that the planning staff, I think, has to put together a draft for everyone to consider.
So could you with your committee, could you list, you know, without maybe getting too specific, but then we could ask through the liaison, the planning department to say, you know, can you develop this more further so it can look like an ordinance we can pass?
Yeah, I don't wanna create more layers on layers, as
Yeah,
I know,
Councilor
we wanna
Burdick said,
clean
like,
it up.
if we're kind of
Yeah, we're gonna rework the whole
retooling
thing.
the whole
Yeah.
wheel here.
Cause that's why we gotta get together and have that committee meet, because I
It's
think
in the process, just get
No.
today's message.
maybe if it came in the last 3 hours,
Did you check
probably
your
not.
email yet?
I saw yours earlier, I can only check it so many
That's where the
times.
whole idea of the DCPC comes in. I mean, most of this is in the GIZ, right, that you're dealing with? I mean, the
I mean, the
pools are.
sign code is pretty town-wide,
Yeah,
but,
The DCPC thing, oh, that's, I don't know. I'd rather, let's look at the code.
the other one, I think, to sort of just keep an eye, like, on was the medical marijuana one that went through, we had a pretty extensive process of, again, of pulling on other professionals to help us make that decision.
that was painful too, whoever wrote that.
But that, again, that's something that was written in probably the past 15
Horrible,
years maybe or
horrible.
whatever, and it has some stopgaps that it put on us. It gave us kind of a
Yes.
checklist that was kind of hard.
Very-
Like, we needed the chief of police to approve a security plan, blah, blah, and we couldn't get
A
Chief
reply,
Chalice
I
to
remember.
reply
It was
for
terrible.
quite a while. But, you know, and maybe it's fine the way it is, but I just would want counselors to look at it at some point, and just sort of, before we have another one come
Yes.
forward, and say, yes, we feel this is fine the way it is, or let's try to retool it a little bit, or, I mean, it's not bad, I just think it could be better. And again, who are the other committees that could be on there? Like, maybe the chief of police isn't the person, but,
Exactly.
you know, what the checkbox is.
Well, I mean, the industry's come a long way, there's probably, I mean, I remember when we went to the convention and we talked with the people from the recreational marijuana,
Right.
you know, I mean, they were like, we can come anytime and help you become more educated on this topic. That probably would have been really helpful before we have somebody bringing forward
Right.
a
And
petition.
we could still do that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, this
Yeah,
is
no,
the
you're
whole
right.
thing about like,
Be
is good
informed,
better
outreach at the
informed.
beginning rather than like, you know, being reactive at the end.
Yeah.
There's all these resources available to us, we should be thinking about using them.
And we could probably ask the planning department what other items are in our code that have these similar sort of things on them, because that was very similar to Wilkins in terms of it was like sort of put on our lap with a little bit, the medical marijuana had some guidance in it, which was nice. But still, what other ones are out there that are gonna sort of sneak up on us and be like, oh, whoa, this is like, sort of outdated or not up to current times.
Now, could you also poll, you remember taking off on what Councillor Clark was talking about their interest in training? And
In terms of board
taking,
members?
yeah, board members,
You were at that
How
meeting.
much
How many,
time-
everyone was invited to, obviously all the board and the public was invited to that training that we did. And
It wasn't very well
we
attended.
didn't have very many of our board members show up.
Then again, it was in the middle of the day, and I defer to people who work traditional work hours. I know you don't have traditional work hours, and you have some different work hours. But I do always consider that if you are sincere about doing a public outreach, then it probably should be outside of 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're gonna be done twice or available online. I just think that to expect a volunteer to take time off from work to go to training,
that's not right, no.
I think we did it from 5 to 6:30 before the meeting.
okay?
I think is how we did it. We did it right before our meeting with pizza. We got pizza in between.
I was gonna say, as long as you get somebody some food.
Yeah, that's what we did. Anna got some pizzas. But just not all of the board attended, and we have a couple members on the board now, I think, that may not have been sitting at that time, and so they might be more interested, but also they do run these online as webinars. I mean, they're sort of boring, but.
You know what we could ask
Aye.
Cindy, that the link to the training be right on your webpage. That
Yeah.
anybody could do it, even if they're prospective or they're thinking about going to ZBA. I said, let me sit through this if the webinar is free, because I think you had to pay for your speaker.
We did,
Yes.
yes, we did, for him to come out.
Yeah.
But they do ones for all the municipalities in the state, regular, like live ones on web-based or whatever that we don't have to pay for, I
But
believe.
I'm just saying that if it is a free webinar that you can take at your convenience, then the link could be on the website for someone who might just be filling out an application for boards, committees, and commissions, and just say, well, before I check off ZBA, let me sit through the training of it. I don't want that, you know?
So maybe ignorance is bliss.
Do we require or request members before they go to appointments to have watched a meeting, attended meetings
We
for their
have,
committee?
some people have, some people haven't.
Okay. So it's not like a recommendation on the application or something before you come to
No, but I
appointments
think
or?
if we
That's a
have
good idea, though.
2 or 3 candidates and candidate number 1 has been to the meetings or watched them and candidate 2 is kind of like, and candidate 3 is never.
Yeah.
I think we're astute enough to say candidate 1 has been actively engaged is probably a better fit
Yeah.
than candidate 2 or 3.
Unless candidate 3 is like a professional planner or something from, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you're right,
or is
but-
so well suited to the
Yeah.
thing. Most everybody I talk to in the last few years has in some way watched it. They very rarely come out
Yeah.
like, no idea, never heard of the town of Barnstable. I just wandered in here and thought this is great. You know what I mean?
Actually, though, I am surprised at how many candidates don't
Watch them,
bother
don't watch
to,
them, or
because
don't attend.
it's available anytime for free, and that they show interest in filling out the application, but hadn't really paid attention to a single meeting.
It helps them know what they're going in for, what they're signing up for.
How about, Jake, I often see, mostly in the residential arena, but sometimes in the other, the historical commission. Is there a preferred thing? Do they go through you first, or it doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason? But if you approve something and then
Yeah.
historical, doesn't like it, or the other way, historical approves something, you say, no way can you do that. That
I mean, we're-
setback is, or,
We're sort of separate. I mean, it's only if it's in a historic district or it's a historic structure. But that would, our site plan process catches a lot of those, where this project needs to go, how many places. But that we don't weigh in on.
but residential doesn't go through site plan review, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, so there's no catching there.
Yeah, but the building commissioner will catch it at permitting usually, if it's historic or something, and then it'll get sent there, but that wouldn't, he's just sending it to us if it has a zoning issue. We wouldn't
Okay.
connect with historic, and we wouldn't ever be in a position where we could
I
send it
just
to
wondered if you
historic.
had an opinion as to if there is no logical way, whether they do you or
I mean,
historic.
it sort of falls outside the purview of a zoning board of appeals.
I think if they're in the historic zone, it gets kicked off to them, but they have different things, color, lighting,
Yeah.
all that is a different suite of evaluation than
Okay.
Yeah, that's
ZBA
right
would
in
have.
the code. Like a sign, if the sign, if it was fit outside of sign code, then potentially it would go to historic if it was in a historic district before or after. There's no, I don't think there's any set that it goes one way or the other. Sometimes
Okay.
our conditions will be, if it hasn't been approved, that it be approved by historic district or whatever. We can't override their authority, but then sometimes I think it's usually because of calendar scheduling, for someone to get a project approved, if the historic meeting falls, they'll go get that done and then come to us.
Yeah.
But we're looking at independently from them.
Because both the historic, both Old Kings Highway and the Hyannis Main Street Historic Commission, they meet twice a month, as does ZBA.
But there's a third one, it's the Barnstable Historic.
Historic Commission.
Yeah, there's a third one.
Do they meet twice a month?
Not sure how frequently they meet.
But anyways, part of that is the restriction, like Jake was saying. Whenever they file, then they'll be kicked off to Hyannis Historic District Commission because they fit on the agenda coming up.
Yeah. But then if we require it to change, they would usually have to go back, so they take sort of a risk there.
I see.
Are your members happy?
I think so.
You haven't had any people come on and say, heck, I'm out of here?
No, we've never had anyone do that. I mean, sometimes there are discussions that I don't love the way that they go at certain times, but it takes people different amounts of time to get to a decision, right? And these
Right.
votes are really big. You're changing something that will be here longer than our lifetime,
Right?
Something like Wilkins will be here for multiple generations to come. And so, I just encourage each board member to take their time and consider, and we always can continue something if you want
Can
more
you
information.
continue, or does the applicant have to agree? What if they say, no, I'm
We
not?
can continue, it's just like council, we could make a motion to continue,
Okay,
and if it passes, but the other board members could vote that down and say, no, we don't want to continue it. But no, anyone could
I
continue.
thought because the applicant is a petitioner, that would be their call.
No,
I don't think they can force the ZBA to vote.
they could force a vote because they could not approve a time extension after the certain period of time. I can't remember if it's 60 or 90 days that they need to be rendered a decision. So if you're triggering that, then potentially we would have to give a decision, but we could, potentially be giving a negative decision, and then they probably would want us to. They probably would accept a continuance if we're gonna be going for.
I saw that at the last meeting that there was, because of Mark Hansen's question, inclination to continue it. But when I saw all those suits on the clock, I could tell that there was probably some unspoken pressure to render a decision.
Yeah,
Because it looked like it was close.
it was close, yeah. But I was very happy with the progress and the public involvement in getting us to that yes. I think we did a good job of incorporating a lot of concerns and different people's.
yeah, do you like the public comment?
Oh, yeah,
Do you
of
find that
course.
helpful?
Yeah, again, it's the same as with board members, keeping them in the confines of what we can actually do, right? Our powers are very limited, and so it's to try to sort of keep the public speaking to that, because you can get off
Yeah.
sideways about things that we just
We
can't,
know.
we can't control.
One thing I did notice is the person who chaired the last meeting did not limit the speakers to 3 minutes.
And we have not
It
really,
was
historically, we have
generous.
not, I have not either, generally, and if there's a mass amount of people in the room to be able to get everyone to speak and we're not there till midnight, then,
No,
maybe we do,
I
but,
think that the people in the audience felt that they were heard.
Yeah.
Whether you agreed with them or not, but I think that you gave them plenty of fair time to air out.
and we've been doing, and I would welcome anyone's opinion on it, one meeting a month in person, one meeting a month online, we do one of each. And then when it's sort of a hot button issue, trying to continue it across two, because I hear from the people that say, oh, I can't get to town hall at 7:00, I'm feeding my kids, I'm doing whatever, and then I hear from the people that say, I don't do this Zoom thing, I
Yeah.
just don't do it or whatever, I wanna come and speak in person, so that was sort of my rationale for why we've stayed in that. And I don't, you know, I'm always welcome to our board to decide
The thing is
too.
to just let people know they can always write in public comment.
Yeah.
Because like I talked to somebody else and like, well, you know, I haven't been able to come to your meetings, and I'm like, you can write us a letter anytime, pro or con, like, we're here to listen to what you have to say, it doesn't have to be in person. And I think there was not, it was like a meeting conflict thing, so there wasn't, it was literally like, they couldn't be in two places at once, so. You know, I mean, I have to say, when Bob Schulte chaired the zoning ad hoc, he literally every time read, please send us an email, and he read that line every time, and I think that's good, because people, they forget that this, you know,
It's happening,
there's more
yeah.
than one way to get in touch with us, Cindy always can send stuff on to us, or to you guys, so.
Yeah, I would say I like what you do. I think it's nice that you do Zoom and in person because you get a different audience.
Yes.
And it was very important for this Wilkins, like you said, you scheduled it live, which was important to people. So I like what you're doing. I think it's a wise use of resources to do it that way. I wish other committees might consider that too. You know, not just all in person or all in Zoom. I think the variant going back and forth.
But I think
It's helpful.
having some in-person component of all the boards is really important for the board, not always the public, but just the board to know each other. I feel like there's a
Right.
couple boards out there that have never met each other in person kind of thing. Because it does create a more of a collaborative sort of discussion amongst each other, whereas Zoom is I find very broken.
So what's the next step with your vacancy? So talk to
Well, I
your-
guess the first thing is Mark has to send a resignation letter.
We need to create the vacancy.
And then I think, you know, I'll talk to our associate members to
That's
see
what we
who
do.
wants to step up and have that
Well,
discussion.
Is there a preference to who's been there the longest?
I mean, there can be
I would think that if somebody's been,
associate ones.
showed some interest and put in an application and sit through meetings and never get called on,
Yes,
or rarely get called on, that they would think it's their turn.
yes.
I'm guessing.
And overall, we have had pretty good attendance, which to that point, our associate members have not gotten a lot of opportunities necessarily. Like here and there, they definitely do, but
That's a good sign.
we've had pretty good. I mean, since I've been on the board, we've never had a quorum issue, I don't think, because of that setup where we have the associates, which is really nice that they can.
It also depends on the individual too, Jay, because a lot of them like to stay in the associate position because it's not a huge commitment
see.
and they know they.
Yeah.
So we always left it up to the chairs to decide because they talk to their members on who actually wants to speak up to a full member. A lot of times you will only get one person that says, yeah, I'd like to do it because of their outside life. So that's why we leave it up to the chairs of the committees because they've worked with the people
Right, got it.
rather than us choosing it.
Well, you deserve a boatload of thanks for redirecting Mr. Dewey to the planning, to ZBA for waterways.
Nick and I get along. I try to be as responsive as possible with
Yeah,
him in this
you're
committee.
pivotal more than you get recognized for, so thank you.
So yeah, I think that would be the process, and then we'll fill the associate position through, you know, maybe when whoever doesn't get chosen for planning to advise them, maybe they
That's
could
good, yeah.
consider,
Yeah.
because it's a similar sort of area of expertise and interest, so.
Okay, I don't have any more questions.
Anything else? Well, Jake, I appreciate you spending over
Thank
an
you.
hour with us and giving us your perspective of, you've given us a few ideas of things we can do to help you. And so I appreciate it. It's been a good conversation, so thank you.
And I'll work with Jim a little bit to sort of put it together, a couple bullet point things, and then,
We've had very full agendas, but
yeah,
that would-
and I don't know if it goes there first, or if it goes to a smaller committee, or if a counselor has to sort of take it and run with it, you know, if it's sort of like a one-on-one, like it maybe
Nick,
his
can you see
liaison and
what
I.
Jim says?
Yeah, so maybe this, maybe we
Process,
come
yeah.
up with sort of 3 things and then you
Right.
sort of bring them as recommendations, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, I don't wanna rock the boat in the process, you know what the process is.
Be on the lookout for the code change or the
Okay.
code committee.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's not always necessarily me, but to have someone on the zoning board involved when necessary, you know, just
Yes.
bring them in or reach out to me and ask who on the board would be a good sort of liaison to the whatever. Or again, planning board and zoning board could have joint meetings, I think, every so often.
Sounds
That's
like
a good idea.
Okay, well, thank you guys for all that you
Thank
guys
you.
do.
Thanks, Jake.
Have a good night.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yes.
Thanks, Jake.
See you guys, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next item, which is the approval of minutes for August 4th, 2025. We have a motion to
I
approve.
move that we accept the minutes as Cindy wrote them.
Second? Any second?
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ah, perfect.
Okay, discuss next meeting dates and next meeting topics. Any?
Did we go through the housing committee yet?
We
No.
did.
We did.
We did, but we didn't talk to the housing, we didn't
That's what
talk to
I'm saying.
Hilda, we talked to Jim Kupfer.
Right.
Remember
that's
Jim covered that?
Yeah.
And he basically said that it just was very similar to the Recreation Commission. It's a reporting mechanism and it's a reporting. They just report. The Housing Committee, I think we really need to take a very close look, and he alluded to it. You know, if he had reached out to the Housing Committee, what would he have gotten? Would he have gotten reports similar to the CFAX? I say no.
Yeah.
And again, it's maybe up to us to ask the Housing Committee to step up their game.
But I think it goes back to the old question. Go ahead, say it.
We
Seth.
give them something to do.
Yeah, because if not, I'm like, what are they gonna do? I'm like, there's.
If all they're doing
if
is
we-
sitting there listening to a report, that's a
honestly,
very,
If you said step up your game, what would that even be? What would that look like? Like, I mean, honestly, I mean, there's still down members. We don't really have any applicants. I mean, it's like,
That
is
would
our
be-
planning
that
department
would be a
able
full,
to give us the
here's what it would
report?
look like.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
would be a full report from them as to why they were recommending the approval of the development agreement with Shoesting Properties for Dockside. It would be a full report showing exactly what the benefits, what the pros and cons. All we got was,
Okay, I guess my question would be,
but they've never been asked to do that.
no, I know, but I guess how I would see that is playing out would be more effective. We receive the development agreement, us as council, and we actually take 10 or 20 minutes or whatever it takes to actually have a open conversation about the proposal as it is. And then if we don't like it, we maybe talk,
But-
I don't know that the
But
housing,
no, here's the
I just
thing
don't even know
though.
that the housing, that would be even
It's
useful.
backwards. We don't see it until housing and planning have already looked at it. It's been through legal. We're like the ZBA is. We're at the end of
No, I
the
know, but if we
machination.
didn't have housing, maybe we wouldn't be at the end. Maybe if we cut housing out, planning rights with
It's
legal,
planning basically
And it
puts
com-
it together.
and it comes forward and we have a conversation and then we make some decisions, like as a,
Why didn't anybody come to talk to us from your committee?
cause then, I
Talk- ask
don't think they
Jim.
have a lot to say to us.
Well, we didn't,
We can ask them to come. Why don't we ask them to come?
Didn't we?
I'm not so sure we
Or
did.
did we just ask Jim to come?
Yeah, that
Because
might be
when
the
we
difference.
had, so Chris Canella came, Jim came.
Yeah.
Didn't the Human Services Committee was here that same day, right?
Yes.
But
So
they
Kimmy
came.
came, but not the staff, so I think we've
For
heard
Chris
from
Canella,
staff.
we didn't hear from golf, we didn't hear from Council
should
on
talk to the
Aging,
actual
we didn't hear
people
from
who are involved.
Recreation.
As opposed to talk to the.
Staff.
Do you wanna
to the
do that,
staff.
John?
Because they
You
can
wanna
give us
ask
an
the-
overview, but I don't know anything about,
Yeah, I think
tenor
if you
of
just
things.
watched a couple of their meetings, you
I
would,
could get, I have done.
yeah.
So I've just, well, so what do we wanna do? Like, this is the rubber hits the road time now. We've been to meeting and we've talked about this. And, do we wanna lose some of these committees just because or do we wanna have one more meeting where we discuss with them directly? Or have a specific, we're gonna talk specifically about golf and make a determination on the agenda, I'm saying. We're gonna talk specifically about human services and make a decision. We're gonna talk specifically about housing, make a decision. Do you know what I mean? Rather than go around and around with it and just say,
No, we need to
okay, well.
start
We
Yes,
need
I
to start
agree.
making some recommendations,
Yeah.
but it has to be based on
on something.
something, yes.
Like, recall when we met with Chris Canella, again, it's staff, that, and we got the sense that it was, how do I wanna say? he didn't feel as it was as productive as it could have been. I'm paraphrasing here.
Sense I got, yes.
And that it siphons off some of the staff time and resources. And I thought there was a discussion, or maybe that I said this after the meeting to him, but perhaps if the golf committee met every other month and the recreation commission met every other month, then for the committees that are served by his staff, they're not meeting every month, but we're making less of a demand on staff. And if they can accomplish nearly the same every 2 months, then it's less of a burden on the staff.
I just think we have to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of having the committee?
Exactly.
How is it helping council?
Right.
And no offense, I don't feel like the housing committee is
It's
helping
helping at
council.
all.
Right.
I don't see it, and I don't know that we couldn't just be better at tasking the planning department. And
Jim
we have,
Comfort, yes.
is it Corey that's the housing?
We gave up the housing position.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is,
We're having that regional office.
yeah, so
But
I
you're
mean, it's
right,
like how,
Corey has stepped into.
what are we gonna lose if we got rid of this committee? What are we going to lose? I'm struggling to see the value, and we're taking resources. Maybe we could just take planning's resource, I don't know who's the staff person to help the housing committee, but
Corey.
okay, Corey, so maybe Corey would just be better having time in his own schedule to work on tasks that would benefit us, like telling us about the development agreement. He could give us a one-pager ahead of time, this is in the pipeline, or, you know, like, I don't see the value, and I don't know that giving him one task is gonna revolutionize. I think it's just maybe we become a part where we need actual professional people giving us guidance, because maybe,
You have to know the stuff. You
Yeah.
have to know the stuff. It goes back to what you said. Well, they're volunteers. Well, if you're not willing, you've got to know this stuff cold. You've
Well,
got to.
I think they are golfers on the golf committee, so I think they know what's going on, but I think they might be a sounding board. I mean, I think that
a sounding
has,
board
like,
for what?
some
For
value.
what?
What are they making a decision on, whether to buy sweatshirts?
How much
Not
fertilizer to put on the greens? I mean,
So like DPW used to have there were a lot of committees that were a part of DPW that are gone now being
that's right,
replaced by
DPW used to have a
professionals,
committee.
right? There used to be different things, like the water quality advisory, the DPW commission committee, whatever it was like. And as they become more and more structured and specialized and professional, they've replaced those with people who work for DPW that do that job. That's what you guys are saying, that's what I'm hearing anyway. And so the same could be said of the planning department, you know, or whatever. Human services, I'm still not convinced because we have no human services. That I think is a whole separate conversation that
That's
we
a
need to
separate
have
conversation.
about how we're gonna get ourselves into the human services business, so to speak. But, you know, that some of these are just holdovers, they're like our tailbone or our
understand, yeah.
appendix,
I
and,
understand.
you know, we've grown beyond them.
But Councilor Crowe is the liaison to housing. And has the housing committee looked at the recommendations made by the ad hoc housing committee that we had?
I can't answer that question. I really haven't spent much time there
Yeah.
in that.
Because I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
there was a
I don't know if it's worth
robust
my time to
effort.
be a liaison for that committee, tell you the truth.
I don't think we've sent them to them, though we haven't taken any action on those.
Yeah, they're not even done, well, no, actually, they've
They
been
are
done for a
done.
while, I keep seeing them on YouTube, but it's, this committee is labeled the housing creation within the town, in the picture in the thumbnail, have you ever noticed that? It says the right name on the bottom, but you know how there's the thumbnail with the colorful picture that says whatever. So I was like, they're still meeting, but no, then I clicked on it, it was us. But
You went to that meeting, Seth,
yeah, I was there, but now I forget what I was trying to say. Oh yeah, we haven't acted on any of those things at all,
Acted
right?
on any of them.
That's where we're just spinning our wheels.
Well, we
It's like
had-
we're hopefully.
I thought that was not, I thought that, it's not.
We didn't
covered.
act on any of them.
The
Yeah.
zoning one we got
Yeah,
it
but
down, but
The zoning, I think,
we got the report from Rick.
I'm
yeah,
hoping the staff is doing some work on the
Yeah,
housing
the
ones.
suggestion from the planning department would be to establish, brace yourself, another committee, a subcommittee, a planning subcommittee, that would be a subcommittee of the council, just of councilors, and a sounding board that the planning department could utilize to, what do I want to say, send their draft proposals before it comes to the full council. But I do think some things we could make better use of our council time if if a controversial proposal had been massaged through a committee of councilors, different from ad hoc.
Well, that would make us more like
Efficient.
Have a standing committee.
other municipal forms of government that have standing councilor committees.
I understand.
We're really one off on
And I
that.
want you to imagine that those kinds of things going to the housing committee and having it massaged by them to end up with us. I think that would be just a circuitous route to get
I
to
see what you're
nothing.
saying.
So that's why I'm saying I think this committee might have outlived its usefulness to us, because at some point it has to come to us. And I don't think they have the expertise or the
Vigor.
the vigor to
No, I
dive
don't.
deep. I
I
mean, that's
don't.
why we had to have an ad hoc housing committee, was because that committee was failing and we had to have a whole nother separate committee. So to then send it back to the housing committee would just be like going backwards, it'd be like going in reverse. So I just don't see how that committee,
And we keep talking about the standing committees of the town council. Why can't that be a recommendation of ours? I mean, you've been speaking about it for a long time. Why can't we say that there should be maybe 3 or 4, say 3? There is one standing committee, 2 technically, Ty, Tiff, and
Yes,
appointments. Should there not be, maybe that could be one of our recommendations. That there should be that planning one that the planning board apparently wants. Or,
Planning department.
yeah, the planning department. Or, I don't know what the
I know
iteration.
what
well,
you're
I
saying.
mean, most towns, Ways and Means is absolutely essential. We don't have Ways and Means. We're using, this is the first time we use CFAC as a Ways and Means committee to help with the Wilkins one.
I might disagree with you a little bit on this, Betty, in that from my understanding, some of the municipalities that have a Ways and Means committee made of counselors have counselors who also make $120,000 a year.
Oh, I know.
We have,
Well, we're a city, we're like.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Okay, we're a city form of government that's acting like a town. I mean, we even are hiding behind the town name, right?
I understand, but I'm just saying that
I know,
for the
that's-
compensation
with
that
you,
we're getting,
yes.
I'm not so sure how much to expect of our elected officials. And part of that is showing because we have an election coming up and not everybody's putting papers for open seats.
Well, it's
Right.
not too late. I mean, it's still time to go. Still
I know, but I'm just saying,
I
here
think
it is,
that's a
end of
cynical way to
August.
look at it, though, personally. I mean,
I'm worried that
not
the
the
job
fact
is
that
so
people are.
onerous that people aren't stepping
I
up.
like it. I make a lot more money doing other stuff. I come here and
yeah, but the point would be if we made 3 other committees and we put you on all 3 of those committees.
I'd show up. I signed up for this. I went out and got signatures.
And if
I convinced my
we
town,
got
my
rid of some of
people
these
in the area to
committees,
vote for me.
perhaps the people on these committees would go to other committees,
Yeah,
We
I'm
didn't have
just
so
saying that-
gosh darn many
I just,
committees.
like that, I mean, that is like the like assuming that we have like the lowest common denominator of person that, like, I want to, what do they say? If you want to get something done, put it on someone who's got a full desk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But on the same hand, we have a handful of counselors who've signed up for the ad hocs, and then we have some counselors who haven't signed up at all.
Right.
And you know what? They're making just as much money as
Well,
you are
we
and
should
I
change,
am.
well, there's only one group that's in charge of how much we get paid, and it's us. So,
Yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
it's clear we're all of us
Not that we
are not
want
in
it,
it for
but
the money.
if you
But I'm
want
just saying that before we build in significant expectations of our elected officials to go to more meetings than we already do. I'm
but
just
this
saying
is
that,
we live in, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars
I know,
affecting the lives of 50,000 people.
We ought to
Like,
be,
we gotta take this pretty seriously. I don't
Yes.
think, like, I couldn't look at it that way. Do you know what I mean? We don't wanna make it any harder or less attractive for people to come and do the business of the people. I don't get that at all. I think that we need to do the work that we need to do. And I know people give me shit about, bad language, give me trouble about not wanting to stay past 11 o'clock, but I will come to meetings 5 days a week if I have to. But that's a line that I've drawn in the sand for me as a person. Do you know what I mean?
I think that comes to say, like, what if somebody says, I've drawn a line in the sand, I'm not attending any extra meetings.
Then they don't. Then me and Betty are gonna
That's
run the
right.
town. I don't know, like,
Yeah, I
or me
know.
and John are gonna run the town, and that's gonna be you know what I mean? Like,
Stop.
Yes, no, I didn't mean to be cynical, but I've been hanging back and watching. I said, we have 7 counselors that are due for a reelection, and I'm not sure that,
it ain't over till it's over.
Yep.
And when that deadline passes, we'll know who's gonna run and
Sure.
who isn't gonna run.
no, I was just looking at this, the high level to say, given the structure of our positions as counselors, what is reasonable expectation to make for people, especially, and I applaud all the counselors who work and have businesses, both of you, that we want a voice on the table for decision-making for people with different life experiences,
Yeah.
and we're better off for it. I'm just saying that I'm looking at the reality we have, and I'm like, I know who shows up.
Well, the work is gonna either get done or not get done. I mean, that's the nature of it. I mean, we can't just sit, I mean, I agree, this is off topic, but we can't just sit still and we're hit by the freight train that is always barreling right towards us, whether it's our financial issues, or our structural issues, or our political, or our quality of life issues, or whatever these things are. It's a freight train that's barreling at us all the time. And if we can't just say, well, it'd be too much work if we jump out of the way of this one. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you.
Do you see
Yes,
what I'm
I do.
saying?
I do.
So as that being said, I'm not against standing committees in order to try and get stuff done. I mean, we just got a lot of stuff to get done. Get rid of the housing committee. They're not, it seems to be a consensus that we don't seem to think that they're doing much. The Human Services Committee, I mean, I know we are gonna wait for them to see what they come back with to us in September theoretically, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope that it's gonna be something that's gonna change my mind. But we have to also have in a separate setting, have the conversation about how we're gonna approach that very important topic of human services as the city of Barnstable. And that's a whole other story. Should we change the name?
Should we change the name?
We're hiding behind the name,
We've
but
been
we're a city.
given an exception by the state just to keep using town.
And we have this whole thing going on right now where it's a push and pull between continuing and forward or remaining in the past, and like that's a perfect example of, and this kind of too, that how is it that you gotta, you know what I mean? Like the name is very important.
Very important.
Because people think of the town and you think, well, it's a small town and it's a little place. We don't have big problems and we gotta take it easy, But when it's a city, then you think of it, this is a city. What in the city? What happens in the city? How do we run a city? What is appropriate for a city as opposed to a town?
And there might be some committees of residents that are volunteers that are no longer appropriate
Yes.
for
Right, for
for
the
a
city
job
of
that
Barnstable.
involves
Right.
a lot higher level of
Yes.
function, thought, time,
Exactly.
effort, and planning that we really need to do well, because if not, what happens is we get a development agreement in front of us that's
Right.
not what we want.
Or we have
get-
what happened with Wilkins. I mean, that
development
was
that shows up with them
enormous.
saying it's great, and then you have all
Is it
these people
great?
coming and saying it's not great, so, I mean,
But
and
look,
I
it
think
was
it
a
goes
good
back.
outcome. I mean, basically a good outcome, better outcome than it could have been, that it was reviewed, that
Yes.
everybody was there. We're getting some more money. It's gonna go up. Some people hate it, some
But
people love it,
what
but
I'm
it's.
saying is, I don't know that the housing committee
They would not,
contributed to
I
that.
don't.
They contributed nothing to
So
it.
that's fine.
So
Yeah.
that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. I know
No,
going
you're
all
fine,
day.
you're fine, and I enjoy these conversations, I think they're important. I think right now, we've got a fish or cut bait in the next
Yeah.
1 or 2 meetings, and I think you mentioned those 3 committees. We've got the housing, we've got the human services, and Larry's brought his recommendations up for that. And also, somebody said the golfing committee.
And
I've talked to some people on the golfing committee, and they're very proud of their committee, they're very active, but if you wanna meet somebody from that, we should invite them before making any kind of recommendations. So, the other 2, I think maybe we could put it on for the next meeting, that we can make some decisions on those 2.
If you wanted to bring recreation,
Recreation too, I
Or
think.
recreation, why don't we do
and
recreation and
recreation.
golf for our next meeting, and then at that point, the next meeting after that, we can make some,
Excuse me.
we can start, I agree with a lot of these things. I think some of these committees are, we've already got 5 committees that we're not gonna continue. But I think 2 or 3 others, we should really decide whether we want those to continue also.
Do you, just point of information, do you want the chairs of these committees? Like Renee King and the chair of the golf committee, or do you want Chris Ganella back again?
I don't
No,
know.
I
No,
think
I
we
think
ought
we
to have
should
the
have
chair of the committees come,
Anybody who wants to come.
And anybody from the
or anybody who
committees,
wants
yeah.
to come.
Well, they
Meaning of
can't
the
bring a
committees.
quorum.
Well, they can't bring a
No.
quorum, yeah.
They wanna get 2 of them.
Well, I don't know who's the chair of the golf committee.
Keith Hochstein.
Keith Hogstein?
Yeah, and I know Suzanne Connolly's big on that too. So one of those would be fine, I think. I don't know anybody else who's on the committee.
I'll reach out to the chairs first, and if they can't
Yeah.
make it, maybe I'll ask them to pinpoint a person that can
Yes.
come.
I'm
Okay.
just reading what the golf committee is supposed to do.
Yeah.
They advise on the establishment of course policies, rules, and regulations. So the question would bear, when was the last time that they have advised on the establishment of course policy, rules, and regulations? Then it goes on to say they provide advice to the town manager in the preparation of the operating and capital budgets. Have they done that? Would that be more of a Mark Milne and a
Mr.
CPAC?
Ganella came to speak to us, it's in the meeting minutes of they do a lot, the golf, with him.
I guess I'm wondering who does the work, that's what I'm.
Well, he said it's a reporting mechanism.
He reports to them. and
Yeah.
not-
Meaning like, is Chris Ganella doing the work and the committee's like, yeah, that looks good? Or is the
Yeah.
committee actually diligently putting together a report? Cause they're supposed to be giving it, like, that's their
Yeah, I'll
job.
reach out to the chair so that you guys can ask those
At
direct
this point, we don't
questions
know.
to the chair.
and
No,
I don't know much
we
about the
don't
golf committee.
I don't
But
know.
I've heard from a couple of people said, please don't knock off our committee because we do a lot of stuff that maybe you guys aren't aware of. So that'd be a good chance to find out.
So I'm suggesting that perhaps this little hybrid, that if they feel valued and maybe they have something to contribute, then maybe just lighten up the frequency of meetings.
Yeah, we
Because
can do
maybe
that.
Especially these ones that are just being reported to, I would think quarterly. I mean, that's a lot of reporting to do.
I should update you on one thing that Cindy's aware of that I've been working on. When we discussed with Allison about categorizing these committees so that the regulatory are separated from the advisory and elected positions, it was explained that it was not easily done, and it was suggested that perhaps on the committee's webpage, they could be color-coded. Like regulatory could be one color, elected bodies another color, but this vision of having them in a box was not
On the website?
viable. Yeah, you were sitting
We
with
gotta
us, weren't
figure
you?
this whole website thing out.
I'm sorry?
Were you sitting with us at that meeting?
Yeah, I was with you,
Like-
yeah.
with-
Are
We
you
can't have a
saying-
modern day website.
Are
Why
you
can't we
saying
have a modern day
on here
website?
that
I've been having the same
color-coded?
fight with the
Yes.
fire district. Why
Yeah.
can't we have a modern day website with modern day stuff on
Could
it?
it
Like
say
communications
after
links and things that work,
Right.
calendars that are usable,
Regulatory,
stuff that's clear,
parentheses
buttons you can press.
advisory?
Like, what is the
Well,
problem
if you wanna
here?
talk to somebody who's doing that, it's Chris
Advisory,
Ganella. I just
yeah.
spoke to him the other day and he's having to blow up the entire recreation website. And if you've ever registered, have you ever registered your kids for the?
No, Megan has, I have
Okay,
kids.
well, it's a
That's
nightmare,
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. So he's blowing that up. It's to your point though.
Yeah, it's
We
just
make
so
it
user.
so hard
It's not
on
user
people.
friendly. Like, we're in the 21st century here, and you go to many, like, commercial websites, and they're all
Yes,
very sleek and easy to
Right.
use, and we're there now. AI could probably make us a better
You
website
know what,
than we're
it's the
using.
Russian nesting dolls. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
It really is. I go
Silos
on there
and
and I
nesting
can't
dolls.
find
You
something.
can't
so
find
I don't
anything.
use it.
Okay, that's beyond our purview at this point, I think, but I agree with you 100%, and I think most of us do also. So, next meeting, okay, we'll figure out a date here.
Yep.
And we'll have the golf and the recreation.
Recreation and
committee.
golf, and you want the chairs of those committees.
If
is that
possible.
enough? Don't you want more than, what, we gonna talk to planning?
Weren't they gonna come today?
Yeah.
I thought that.
It's not my decision, it's
No,
up
we
to you
didn't,
guys.
I think
we
that's
had
too
planning
I
on
think,
one of the,
I think maybe because Allison was away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she is away, clearly.
Well, you wanna do 3 at one time?
I can add planning if you'd like.
Why add planning
Okay.
and see if we can keep it under.
It'll give us some reason to keep
So you're having
moving.
2 committees and the department director, the staff and committees. I'm just saying that,
Well, I can invite Steve Robichaud, he's the chair.
Yeah,
oh,
Yeah.
then that would be,
Yeah.
We already talked to Jim.
no, we're not talking to Jim, we're talking
okay,
to
I
Steve.
just wanted to understand what you're talking
Okay, I didn't get that.
On
I
the
thought-
board.
Keep your
I
modernization
was confused.
of our website for the strategy.
Yeah,
That should be
Yeah,
a
we do
really
have
important
strategic
piece of the
planning.
strategy.
I mean, I'm sure we can do
Good
it.
luck with that.
And we can, it won't cost us a fortune. I mean, everything does, but we
So yeah,
can't.
the strategic planning session
We
is,
can't put them in a box. We can't put them in a box. They gotta.
You've heard about the Steamship Authority and their website, right? They're like running on 5 years. They got
Trying
another
to
5
fix
years
it.
to go before they redo their website.
Oh my, maybe it will be.
Yeah, well, the other
Sisyphean
issue
task.
is Chris and I heard there's one person that does web design for
the
the town.
webmaster.
Yeah,
So when recreation wants to blow up theirs, there's only one person, everything else is
Why don't we just hire some contractor?
one person.
Wouldn't we
Well,
hire contracts for everything else? Why
Third
wouldn't
party.
we?
Well, there's a lot of security involved, so you only want one person playing with
Well, then-
our billboard, basically.
Recreation has the first dibs.
Yes, we'll have to wait 7 years now.
because of all the insecurity out there, once you start adding things to a web page, we were told it opens you wide open to cybersecurity problems.
I think we can fight.
And if you invest millions into software, then you'll get the protections you need, but you know, the town's probably not gonna do millions and millions of dollars into it just to, that's what we had heard, anyway.
Well, we could decide. to
Our
put
server's not that
That's
big and our
right.
capabilities aren't that big.
Becomes the strategic goal.
Yeah, is to
modernize the website.
modernize the website in order to
When do you wanna
increase the interface with the
Yes.
public.
We'll see
Serve
what.
people that we're serving.
Yeah, the town needs a bigger server, that's the problem, because our server's downstairs in the basement.
Now that everything is digital, anyway, I'm not gonna go on this, we can just.
And became more acute after COVID, so.
Okay, so what do you have for times for us?
Whatever days,
What do people think? We're in September, so,
I like the cadence we have where we're meeting more frequently. I think it really helps.
yeah.
Problem is, 2 Mondays from now is Labor Day.
That's good though, I'm glad it's Labor Day.
What? Ah,
Said Ms.
Remove those words.
You know, everyone else is having a great time.
Slip and fall on the ice out there.
Yeah, I know.
Should have not said that. Okay, are we open for any other days? What are the days that are available to us in late afternoons?
Just having this one out for the code committee.
Oh, good.
How about the
So those
second?
are the dates
Tuesday,
the
second?
Tuesday.
Cindy was voting.
You don't have to, I'm just
So
throwing it
that's
out.
what,
No.
2 weeks from now, or 10 days?
Yeah, that's.
Great, let's do it, that sounds wonderful.
It depends if everybody else.
Who all's on that committee?
So you don't, we just throw out some dates.
yeah,
How about Tuesday the 9th?
Tuesday the 9th,
No,
looks,
I can't do that. I'm sorry, never
Craig is
mind.
replaced
Yeah,
though,
because we're
right?
meeting the 10th.
Craig is no longer
Yeah,
on it.
that's right.
He's still on it because he
Um,
was on it before.
How about a
he was
Friday?
President.
I thought he switched with John.
there's never any meetings on a Friday, those days are wide open.
Yeah, Friday's
Yeah.
great.
I don't
Meet on
wanna
a
do
Friday.
Friday
No,
too late
okay.
though.
Friday's okay.
You want it the day after town council meeting on the 5th, Seth?
That's fine, as long as it's in the afternoon.
Yeah, can we do it like,
Oh.
like 3 on
You're
the,
busy.
on Friday the 5th?
Great.
Well, yeah.
I don't know how this happened, but I'm getting alerts every day for council meeting.
Oh, that's
I don't
frustrating.
know how that happened.
How about
Anxiety.
Wednesday the 3rd?
Wednesday the 3rd sounds good.
Third
That
is one of the
is gonna be the rules,
Yeah, those are one of the,
town council rules.
What time's that at?
No,
we're still.
The 3rd is the winner chicken dinner so far.
And that's for the
day.
committee, for the code? And
Yeah,
that's
town
at-
rules, town
at
code,
3? Okay,
3 p.m.
thank you. I just haven't put it, I haven't gone through my.
Yeah, it hasn't gone out, I'm just waiting for one more
Okay.
person to say
Well, I'm
that
gonna
it's
put it
okay.
tentatively.
Is that me?
Who are you waiting for?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Waiting for Chris.
Didn't wanna point a finger.
Yeah, that's right.
Just go like this.
Yeah, okay.
The 11th is strategy, not doing, right?
No.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
What's
You
the
can meet on
hours?
the 10th. Is the 10th any
I
good?
can't
No,
do-
we
I
have
can't do the
appointments.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I
We have
can't do the
appointments on the 10th.
I can't do the 8th through the 10th.
Okay, how about the 17th?
17th is fine.
Okay, there it
15th
is.
is fine.
17th at what time?
Let's do 3 again?
3
Is it-
PM work for everybody?
That's fine with me.
Okay, 3 PM.
On the 17th. That'll give me time to reach out to the chairs,
Yeah.
make sure they can make it.
Bring your pajamas, kids, it'll be a long one.
There's 3 of them.
No,
We'll just have to
we'll
make,
make it in honor of Gordon and our pajamas. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was Gordon.